Hello everybody, the Great Dino Ranger here again, back with another review. This time we're taking a look at two figures as part of the Jurassic World Rebirth toy line. We're taking a look at one Frenzy Pack figure and one Strike Attack figure. And with that said, we're going to take a look at the Frenzy Pack Edmontonia and the Strike Attack Yuxisaurus. So two new species from Mattel added to their lineup, which means two new species added to the collection, which is awesome. More Ankylosaurs added to the long family of Ankylosaurs that we have, which is awesome. As I said many times before, I love when Mattel gives us more species from the same family group, because then it just builds more of the current family groups that we have of certain dinosaurs. Like they gave us a lot of Abelisaurs, a lot of Spinosaurs, a lot of Ceratopsians, Stegosaurs, and now obviously Ankylosaurs. So this is really awesome. Two new species from two different assortments, the Frenzy Packs and the Strike Attacks, and these look really cool. So real quick, we'll take a look at a brief look at the packaging. There's nothing a whole lot to take a look at. As you can see, I've already opened them. But for the Frenzy Pack Edmontonia, it's pretty much your standard Frenzy Pack packaging, except this time this one has the jungle in the background instead of the ocean, with the Spinosaurus and the title and the name of the dinosaur, and then on the back just all the information that it has and the others in the lineup. I've already reviewed the Torvanustes, and then we're doing the Edmontonia now. I'm still missing the Iani, so hopefully I'll find that one at some point, because it's a new species and I need all the species. For the Yuxisaurus, here it is, pretty much your standard Strike Attack packaging. On the back, head striking action, and then we got the others on lineup, which I've already reviewed, the Inostrancevia, and I'm gonna skip out on those two. But yeah, and notice how it says the name of the dinosaur has an X in it, but this dinosaur was discovered in, I believe, China, and the way it's pronounced is the X is supposed to make like a Z sound, so it'd be Yuxisaurus. I thought that was really cool. I like to make sure I'm pronouncing my dinosaurs correctly, so I had to look it up just to make sure that's how it's supposed to be. Even that one dinosaur that we got from 2023, the Zwanhanosaurus, that one started with an X, but that one starts with a Z type of sound to it, so I thought that was pretty interesting. But yeah, two new Ankylosaurs. Yeah, I believe Edmontonia lived during the Cretaceous period, and I think lived in, I know it lived in North America. I think it was somewhere specific in North America, but I know it's North America for sure during the Cretaceous. And Edmontonia did live with other species such as like Edmontosaurus, Albertosaurus, and I think even Pachyrhinosaurus. So I like to think of it as like the Walking with Dinosaurs movie that came out in 2013 with Apache, the Pachyrhinosaurus. That one was all based in Alaska and had a lot of the, signature Alaskan dinosaurs, I believe, such as Pachyrhinosaurus and Edmontosaurus, and it even had brief cameos of the Edmontonia, even though it was never stated as an Edmontonia in that movie. They always called it Ankylosaurus. So, but really excited to finally have Edmontonia in the Mattel lineup. I definitely would say it's probably one of my favorite Ankylosaurs that's not Ankylosaurus, I guess, or maybe something that's not your typical Ankylosaurus, because Edmontonia is actually like a nodosaur Ankylosaur, so those animals that have armored bodies, kind of more thinner skulls, and they lack a tail club, so that's what makes this a nodosaur, whereas classic Ankylosaurs had a bit more of a wider face and had a tail club. So really cool. Finally, we have a good figure of an Edmontonia. I don't even think there's other companies that have made an Edmontonia except for Schleich. They made a very old one years ago. I still have it somewhere in my room, stored away somewhere, but it's an old Schleich Edmontonia, and I really like that one. And to have a kind of a better figure of this one, I can already tell you I would enjoy having this figure as a kid, recreating a lot of cool scenes from that Walking with Dinosaurs movie, but also just to have another cool little Ankylosaur just to play dinosaurs with. So that's really cool. And then the Yuxisaurus here, I don't know. I probably should have looked this up before starting it, and I actually did. I looked it up just to make sure I'm pronouncing the name right. I should have looked a bit more into it because I'm not certain this is a nodosaur. I think this is some kind of earlier version of an ankylosaur, because this dinosaur lived in China during the Jurassic period, so it definitely lived much, it lived before Edmontonia, so it's much older. And yeah, I don't think it's a nodosaur at all. I know it's probably related to ankylosaurs. I mean, I don't know. I kind of looked at pictures, but I feel like this is something similar to those other type of armored dinosaurs like Scytlosaurus. I think that's how I'm pronouncing it. Scytlosaurus or Scutellosaurus. Those, kind of more thinner looking dinosaurs with more smaller scutes and osteoderms all over their body. So not like a generic ankylosaur or even a nodosaur. So, but still, I think it still belongs in this family group. I could be entirely wrong. If any of you who are watching this video happen to know a lot about these animals and know, if I'm right or not, please let me know in the comments. I like to make sure I have all my facts correct, so do feel free to correct me if I am wrong on anything. But yeah, both these figures look really great. I love the detail that Mattel has packed on both of them. I love the amount of scutes and osteoderms, just the armored plating that these animals have. Mattel does really well on these ones. But let's go ahead and take a closer look at the Edmontonia first. As I said before, I'm really happy to have this species in the Mattel lineup, and it looks really good. And it fairly looks like, an Edmontonia. I mean, there's some things that aren't exactly entirely accurate. I mean, just for a toy standard, like the body should be maybe a bit bigger, and the tail needs to be much longer. Obviously, the head probably needs to be a bit smaller. This large spike right here should have like another spike kind of growing off of it. But other than that, I think they got the idea down. But overall, it looks really good. I love the detail in the armor, especially on the face right here. It has like that rough texture, almost like this armor has like skin growing on it, like a skin fold that's kind of pulled over it, if you know what I mean. And the armor right here looks really cool, and it kind of feels cool when you rub your finger against it. Really nice detail in the scutes right here. Same on the tail. This guy should be pretty heavily armored against all these animals, but it's really cool. And the face looks really nice as well. Looks like a Edmontonia. Sure, maybe the head here should have more of like the armored looking look to it, but I mean, it looks cool. It has skin growing on it, so maybe these animals didn't have, like the bone showing, but maybe just like a stretched fold of skin folding over. I don't know how to really explain that, but the beak looks nicely detailed as well. Same with the little nostrils. I love the eyes as well. Got some nice little scale detail along the face and along the head as well. Let's come some more scutes here on the neck. A lot more of a smoother line texture for the underside, but that's pretty typical. Gives it kind of like a realistic look, and some more kind of rough skin texture, not any scales, so it's kind of like rough animal skin, like that of an elephant. At least that's the way I look at it, but really nice. You can see some of the muscles kind of poking through the limbs, giving it kind of like that naturalistic look. Then the toes and the fingers look really nice as well. Obviously, they're not painted, and here's the scan code. Back on the feet, so there's that if you guys want to see that. But yeah, really cool. And I like the scales that are kind of sculpted in between all these osteoderms, especially here on the tail. Looks really nice. And then the larger, spikes here up on front look really great too. Classic characteristic of Edmontonia, especially those large ones right here kind of jutting out from the side. Really cool. Yeah, it looks awesome. One of the things that that kind of stood out to me is that, as you can see, these spikes here on the side are made of like a softer rubber. They're like a separate insert on the inside of the shell right here. Well, not shell, but plastic fleece they put over this rubbery part. But that's really cool. I like how they do that, so they're not really sharp for kids. That's really cool. And then you've got some over here that are rubber too. Not everything is the same black though, so it's kind of noticeable, because it's like, why are some of these black and some of these are all green? You know, because if this was a fully painted figure, every single spike in osteoderm on this figure would be this black color, which actually would look really cool. So some people can repaint that if they want to, but just something I kind of noticed when I first got this figure. But overall, really cool. Articulation wise, head can go kind of up and down, not really. And oh yes, the beak is painted too in a black, which I noticed, which is really cool. The head can rotate 360. Really nice, and it can't really look left and right either, so more just of a rotation. Then the limbs, typical for these figures, they just move back and forth. And the tail, interestingly, it can rotate 360, it can go up and down, and left and right. So this dinosaur has a lot of great articulation on the tail, which is something we're not used to on these smaller figures. Same with the Torvanustes, the amount of articulation they had on the flippers is something that we've never seen before on these smaller figures. So that's really cool. I really love what they did with the tail. Color-wise, I love the colors. I like the dark forest green that they have on the top half, and like this lighter lime-ish green for the underside. Really cool. Then the black spikes, at least for some of them. And then you got a black beak and a yellow eye, which it looks really cool. It makes it look natural. It belongs in like a foresty location. So yeah, really like this one a lot. Moving on to the Yuxisaurus. This one, again, looking very nice. I love the skin detail here. It's not scales, but more like rough elephant skin, which looks really nice. I love the detail in the folds in the skin, the muscles, and just the stretch marks of the skin. It makes it look more alive. You see some of the ribs poking out from the side right there. Really cool. Front of the arms here look really nice. You got some more of those scoots on the toes and the fingers themselves. Looking really nice. Same on the other side. Got some like sharp skin on the kneecap right there. Even there on the elbows. Looking really cool. Underside, a lot more of that smoother line texture. Here at the face, you got a little bit of some scales, or maybe it's just some rough scale or skin on the side right here. Face looks really cool. Not sure if it's entirely accurate to the real animal, but again, this is a Mattel figure. These are not supposed to be based off of scientific accuracy for the most part, but you know, it is what it is. The beak is open, so it's giving it like a nice open mouth position. Really cool. You can see the tongue, the gum flaps right there. Sadly, they're not painted, but oh well. Nostrils are painted. You can see some of the holes in the skull right there. Eyes look really cool as well. Got some really nice spikes on the head as well. And speaking of spikes, or these osteoderms, the armored plating, it's very interesting and unique on this figure. I absolutely love it. Look at these large scoots on the neck. Those are crazy. I don't even think this is accurate, but they look really cool though. How they just jut out like that. That's really cool. This will definitely be hard for a predator to bite its neck, because these are just going to be super, super hard to get through. And you got some more of these scoots all over the body. Really cool. I like how you got like these larger connected ones here on the side, and some more individually sculpted ones here all over the side of the body. And it kind of continues down the tail, and whoa, look at this. Look at this crazy looking tail. That is very interesting. That is a very interesting looking tail. Again, I don't even think this is accurate. This is just some cool, you know, artistic liberty that Mattel added to these figures, and it looks really cool, really unique. This actually gives this animal almost like a tail club, which I wonder if that's what they're trying to go for, even though this animal never had a tail club. But really cool though, very interesting design. I really love it. How they're all just like individual segments of armor that just probably flex forward and backward, or side to side, depending on where the tail is curving. That's really cool. Love the detail on that. This will definitely cause some damage if this were to whack against something. Now, interestingly too, the light green on these spikes are actually separate rubber inserts, so they're not going to rub off the harder you play with them. That's really cool. Even these ones right here, these spikes are a rubbery material because they're really soft and squishy. But they're obviously made of rubber, so these are not going to break. Interestingly, that these ones are rubber and not this one right here, so that's pretty interesting. The eye is the same color as the green on the spikes. Sadly, this green part doesn't continue down on the tail. Would have been cool. But the entire top half of the body, again, is another forest green. Kind of, I think, the same as the Edmontonia. And on the underside is like this light beige brown color, which looks really cool with a black beak and all that. But really cool colors. I really like the colors on this one. Really, really, really cool. I think that's all I have. Oh yeah, the top of the body right here, really interesting detail in the sculpt right here. Has like this really rough texture on it. It looks really cool. Yeah, Mattel did a really nice job on this one. I'm just kind of observing the sculpt as I'm looking at it. Really cool. So yeah, Mattel did an excellent job with the sculpt on these figures. So this one has an action feature, which it just says like a head thrashing action or something like that. But you just move the head left and right, and the head just moves. Kind of interesting, and you're not going to have the tail move anything. But I guess it does make sense. This dinosaur did not have any tail club, so I guess you would be just using the head to eat plants and whatnot. So I guess that makes sense, but yet they give it this huge tail club, which at that point, you should be using the head to move the tail, which actually does work. Not very well. It's more fluent when you're using the tail, but that's really cool. I like it. Articulation-wise, this part of the head can move, so this part of the spikes can move in any direction you want. I like to make sure it's lined up when I'm not using it. And then the limbs are very stiff on mine, but they just move forward and backwards. They can't move side to side, but forward and backwards. And that's pretty much it. And you got the scan code right there. And that's pretty much it for these two little ankylosaurs. So for comparison, here it is next to a human, which is really cool. I mean, they might be accurate. I didn't look at the sizes online or anything, but I mean, it could make sense. I think the Edmontonia is probably accurate. I'm not sure about the Yuxisaurus though, but overall they look pretty good for a smaller, you know, ankylosaur, I guess. Next up, we'll just compare with all of the other small ankylosaurs that we have. So first up, we have the Boreapelta, another favorite of mine. Then we got the Sauropelta. Then we have the Gastonia, the Minimi, and then I'll just throw it in, we got the small little Stegosaurus. I would have thrown in the Jacopil, but I feel like I just want to stick with just the normal looking smaller ankylosaurs. But these look really great together, a nice arrangement of smaller ankylosaurs. Most of them are all nodosaurs anyway, except for I think the Yuxisaurus and the Stegosaurus, but they all look really great. These ones definitely specialize in having larger spikes coming out of their body, like the Sauropelta, Edmontonia, and the Boreapelta, and even the Gastonia. They definitely specialize in having more spikes than your usual clubbed-tailed ankylosaurs, which I didn't add the ankylosaurus on here because I figured I'd just stick with just the smaller ones, but they all look really great. And interestingly too, the Edmontonia is actually the biggest. It's taller, and I think the Boreapelta is actually wider, but this one's actually bigger and slightly hefty compared to the other ones. Not super heavy, but you can definitely tell there's a lot more weight on this figure compared to the other Frenzy Pack figures. So that's really cool. I feel like this figure is just a lot more durable to use, I would say. But these look really great together. So everyone, that's about to wrap it up for this hopefully quick review. I don't even think it's that quick, but taking a look at two little smaller new ankylosaur species from Mattel. I really enjoy them both. If you're someone that likes to collect every single species, I recommend collecting both of them. And yeah, really great sculpt, great colors, and just overall great figures just to have in the collection. So yeah, hope you guys enjoyed this review. Like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you guys again for the next video.